Scotland, deep in the night on a murky brae, there in the highlands of Scotland, two weary travellers lost their way, and this is what happened, the strange thing that happened to two weary travellers who lost their way.
Good evening. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I am Donna Lynn Hilton, producer for Goodspeed Musicals, and welcome to Greatspeed.
And hi, everyone. My name is Michael Fling. I'm Donna Lynn's associate at Goodspeed. And tonight we have a very special treats in store for you. We've reached back 20 years into the archive to visit Goodspeed's 2000 production of Lerner and Lowe's Brigadoon. This episode of Greatspeed was pre-recorded, so we will not be able to take any questions tonight, but you can still comment in the live stream that should be to the right on your screen.
Thank you. And I should comment that was David Barron in the role of Mr. Lundy in our Brigadoon in the opening number at the very top of the show. Our guest tonight are two artists with whom Goodspeed and I have a long history, and I'm so glad that they could both join us to look back at what was a truly beautiful production. Peggy Hickey choreographed Broadway's Anastasia and A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Goodspeed audiences have enjoyed her work in On the 20th Century, A Little Night Music, Carnival, and Brigadoon. I'm forgetting something there, but she's going to correct me. And Greg Ganakas directed some of Goodspeed's most successful productions, among them George M., Babes in Arms, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, How to Succeed in Business Without Even Trying, and this magnificent production of Brigadoon. Please welcome Peggy Hickey and Greg Ganakas.
Hello.
Hey, to
Hello,
see your beautiful
friends.
faces.
Yeah, it was exciting to watch that. It really was. At first, I thought it was just a really long blackout, right? Just
I'm
dark
probably not
space.
the only person watching who thought that.
Right. And then suddenly came.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
us.
Thank you both. You doing okay? How have you been riding out this pandemic? Peggy, where are you?
I'm in my home in Los Angeles. I began the pandemic in Tokyo. I was opening the Japanese production of Anastasia, and we were literally at first preview when they shut us down. All of our team was sent home with all our translators literally the day before they were supposed to open, and they did not open for a week, but then they did open, and they did 14 performances. Then they shut them down. So I've been home ever since.
What date was that? When was that, Peggy, that they...
March. We were supposed to open March 1st, and I flew home March 4th. On the normal day, I would have flown home, but I missed all. We had triple cast, and I missed all three casts opening. But they apparently are, I've spent this ensuing couple months talking to our productions around the world of Anastasia, how to restage potentially. So there's 6 feet between performers, like crazy asks, but anything we can do to get back on stage, we're willing to do. So that's what I've been home, but I've been talking about all the different ways we could potentially reimagine this show and tour around the world.
Beautiful. And Greg, Dr. Ganakas, where are you?
Yeah, Dr. Hilton. What's interesting, you were in Tokyo, so I did a production of The Little Match Girl off Broadway, produced by a Chinese producer in Shenzhen, and it opened, and then it was extended, and then it closed as everything else did on February 25th, something like that. And I skedaddled back to Michigan, quarantined with my 2 sisters. That was okay.
Yeah.
And
are you still there?
I am still here.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel I want to get back to New York, but I don't know if what the rules are. They're changing kind of every day, and
Well, we're glad that you could both be with us to look back at this beautiful show.
And that you're here too.
Yeah, you are a stage manager.
I was. Can you
You
believe
were.
that? Oh my God.
You know.
So,
Okay.
so we, I knew that it was a beautiful production, that it was a very special production. I went back into the archive to take a look at it. And, you know, it's a very personal show for me because, as you say, I was the production stage manager on the show. So I had a very different relationship with it than I have with something that I'm producing. In a strange way, much more intimate, you know. And so those moments in the rehearsal hall, because you're there all the time, just kept coming back to me. But I want to know, because Michael Fling, you were literally still in grade school when this production took place. This is the farthest back in our archives that we've reached to discuss the show so far on Greatspeed. And so, not to call you out, Michael, but you were still in grade school when this happened. And so we sent you back to really, you went back to the library, dug it out of the archive, looked at the whole thing again. What was your reaction to the show, Michael? Because it was the first time you'd seen this production.
So, two things. One, I cannot confirm nor deny that I was in grade school at the time this was staged. Two, it was absolutely immaculately called, Donalyn Cooper Hilton. And three, I was truly, and I was really blown away by it. It's such an interesting show, even in just the history of musical theater and Lerner and Lowe's particular catalog, but what you two and what your team and your cast accomplished, I thought was absolutely, I was really like, I texted Donalyn after and I was like, okay, I have so many questions for them. Like, I'm so ready to talk about it because I absolutely love it. So I was really blown away. It was really I thought a quite magical production.
Thank you very much.
It was.
Well, Peggy and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. And as always, because I live on the West Coast, I am blown away by the talent that's on display, both in the audition process for Goodspeed. Everybody comes out of the walls, out of the talent to cast was insane. And then the cast we got was amazing. And I'm still friends with so many of those people.
Yeah. Well, let's look at them a little bit.
Sure.
So I need to say to our audience who tunes in weekly for this segment that this B-roll was captured 19 years ago, long before we were capturing in HD. So don't email me asking why it's so grainy. That's why it's grainy. But we really have some beautiful clips to show you. So we're going to start
with the blackout again, Donalyn.
What? Can I start with the blackout? No, I'm not going to do the blackout again. Okay.
Yeah,
we're going to go to a blue out this time.
All
So
right.
the show is full of magnificent Lerner and Lowe songs, absolutely beautiful score. And so we're going to pop through some of those this evening. The first is Amanda Serkasevich, I hope I just pronounced her name correctly, as Fiona in Waiting for My Dearie, with Lisa Brescia as Meg and the ensemble.
Oh,
Absolutely.
it's all coming back. It's all
Yeah, it
coming back.
does.
Wow.
Remember
right.
equity principal interviews? Is that what they were called? EPAs?
EPAs?
Yeah, that's where we found Lisa Brescia, who has,
Oh my
of course, since then gone on and on and on.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's completely a rarity, but she popped out, and it was going to be just a callback. We were going to. Do you remember this, Peggy? We were going to investigate her.
Yeah.
Then she popped through everybody, and I was so proud of her by the end, and she's such a. I mean, I'm so proud of what she's then gone on to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful human being too. And that costume by John Sullivan, that
Yes.
costume she's
Oh,
in,
all
is
of
going to
those
be one of the
costumes.
great pieces that appeared on the Goodspeed stage.
Yeah.
I should say the set design was by Howard Jones. I hope that we can, during these clips, get some sense of that mound. Did we call it the mound?
The
That-
rock.
The rock.
Yeah, the rock. You know,
Piece
that
of
was
scenery
Brad's. That was
traveled.
Brad's big moment. 'Cause,
Yes, Brad
yeah,
Spockman, our current production
technology
stage
had,
manager.
you know, start, and
Yeah.
he'd put it, remember, Peggy, and then he'd turn it for us, and then he'd go home and get that going again. And I never really understood it, but
it worked. It worked.
yeah.
And the costumes by John Sullivan and lighting by our beloved Kirk Bookman.
Well, and you all use that mound very creatively too in various positions and things. It was one of the it's a great part of the magic of the Goodspeed stage, I'd say. It's like
Yeah.
you all did make that space feel so big and like the rolling hills of Scotland, which is just
So isn't. That the physics of the space are always the hardest challenge for me. One of the you know, it's a Rubik's cube, figuring out the Goodspeed. So I mean, literally, I say for anywhere I ever work, hey, no problem. I've worked at Goodspeed. I've had 8 men with live steel,
Yeah.
6 men, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I can fit them into this surgical space.
Yes. Yes.
So before we get too far into the show and stuff, I do want to ask, and those of our audience who listen to the podcast know that I'm a big musical nerd and all these things, but there were some revisions to the script of Brigadoon when we did it here all that time ago. Do you all remember some of the change? I mean, I guess the one thing I noticed off the bat is that it was definitely set in the year 2000 when, you know, it was definitely when it was written in like 1946. So it definitely did get that little 50-year spruce up. But do you all remember any of the other changes that you?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it was a concept change a little bit. I mean, the whole beginning, as you saw, started with the bagpipes. And then it was really important to me that we felt when they were coming out of this place that they had been in, that it was as dramatic and a little frightening. They didn't know if their mother was there, their father. And so we took that and we kind of turned it into a reel, Peggy, if you remember. And that became really important. And with that, we did an intriguing musical beginning that Michael O'Flaherty put together for us that went into McConaughey Square, because McConaughey Square tends to be, you know, just a opening number that is, you know, big sellers and not big sellers, but carts and flowers being sold. And I felt like getting into that needed to have a special kind of dreamy way. And I mean, that's not revision exactly. As far as the script, I mean, I think that we looked at the script, Dr. Hilton and I, every day, and would address, not making clips, but what did make sense. And I don't remember taking chunks out. I don't.
No, I don't either.
Did Bob Walton help with the script? Am I making that up?
No. You're thinking of the wrong show, though.
Oh.
You're thinking of
Pajama Game.
Pajama Game.
I didn't work on that.
I know, but you're right on the money. But he was Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe he told me. Yeah.
Maybe he told you that story. He probably told you that story. Yeah.
20 years. Yeah.
You know, I would say one more thing quickly. Peggy, you remember this. And Peggy was a blind date for me. We had never worked before. And I knew many people that spoke really highly of her. So, and you'd been at Sacramento, maybe we crossed paths there, but we'd never worked together. But she worked with a lot of great directors. So first day, I jumped right in, not right in. I mean, we did our talking where Sue went like this. And then I jump into the improv.
That's Sue, a reference to our
Sue
producer at the
Frost,
time,
going,
Sue Frost,
moving
saying,
along
"Wrap
to
it
that.
up." So if you see me do this, I'm channeling Sue.
Yeah. And I didn't know how it would go. You never really know. Improv can be really queer and corny, or it's going to evolve into something from the very beginning because everyone's vulnerable. Peggy got not only into it, she was like a member of the clans, the family, and we were making it up. And then I sent the bagpipe outside at one point. Do you remember that, Peggy? And we hear the bagpipe, and it was It was everything that I think the show ended up to be, because everyone was on the same level of participation, and it had a strange kind of quality to it, but everyone got hooked in, and Peggy was right in there. And I'll always appreciate that, because I've done some other ones where people are just rolling their eyes. Yeah.
No, I'm all in. I'm enthusiastic.
All in.
I love having the bagpipe player in rehearsal every day and in the cast.
Great.
And having him, I remember in the blackout that you showed that first clip, I went, oh, right. He started downstairs.
Correct.
And came up the stairs while playing and through the house. And I didn't.
The blackout. Yes.
Yeah, he did.
That was great.
All right.
I was gonna say we have so many clips to get to, so I don't want to
Yeah.
spend too much time talking, because also we're about to get to one of my favorite clips, which is Bonnie Jean, which it makes my heart like so happy. And speaking of all the young talent that was featured in the show, a young Daniel Reichert in the role of Charlie. So let's watch him do Bonnie Jean.
I used to be a roving lad, roving and wandering life I had. On any lass I crowded who would try to tie me down. But then one day I saw a maid who held out her hand, and I stayed and stayed, and now across the green I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. I used to have 100 friends, but when you're wedded, the friendship ends. They never come to call. So farewell to one and all. Farewell to all the lads I knew. I'll see you again when you're married too. For soon across the green I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. In Edinburgh I used to know a lass with an air, and her name was Jo. And every night at 10 I would meet her in the glen. But now I'll not see her again, especially not in the glen at 10. For soon across the green I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Hello to married men I've known. I'll soon have a wife and leave yours alone. Oh, come on and stop talking. A Bonnie wife indeed, and she's all I'll ever need. With Bonnie Jean, my days will fly, and love her I will till the day I die. That's why across the green I'll go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, near the home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean. Go home, go home, go home with Bonnie Jean.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, what a
Reichert.
special talent he is.
Yeah.
And Donna Lynn, I don't know if you remember, but it was going to be chorus for him. I
don't remember that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say that.
That's okay. He was young. He was just, I mean, maybe not just out of the University of Michigan, but not long out of the University of Michigan.
Yeah, this was maybe an equity card. I don't remember.
I don't remember, but he was young, and that voice. Oh my God, just.
I think I also just like fall in love with anyone who sings that song. That song is, I just like, it makes me so happy.
Well, he really delivers it. He really delivers that. And we're going to see another of his songs from the show a little bit later. And again, he just really delivered the songs and the character.
I love watching this. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Our next number is going to feature James Clow as Tommy, one of the people who stumbles into Brigadoon from the modern day, and Amanda as two people from different worlds who meet and begin to fall in love. So let's look at Heather on the Hill.
Can't we two go walking together out beyond the valley of trees, out where there's a hillside of heather, curtsying gently in the breeze? That's what I'd like to do, see the heather, but with you. The mist of May's in the gloaming, and all the clouds are holding still. So take my hand and let's go roaming through the heather on the hill. The morning dew is blinking yonder, there's lazy music in the rill, and all I want to do is wander through the heather on the hill.
Hi, isn't that amazing?
She has a microphone there, right? Is she wearing a microphone?
No one. Jay thinks that no one was. Jay Hilton, our resident sound designer, and my spouse believes that no one was microphoned.
Remember
Lisa
she had gone away, so she was having like vocal trouble.
Oh my God!
Remember?
Okay. We have someone here.
Or-
We have
or
someone
Siri.
available who might be able to answer this question.
Yeah, because I think Lisa Brescia also. I think we had lots of conversations. She was one of the few people we might.
Little voice,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, because she had a couple of really lusty
Belty.
songs in the show. Belty. Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe
Okay.
I'm going to introduce a special guest who may know the answer. So there was a young man in the ensemble of Brigadoon who has gone on to have a much longer than anticipated and special relationship with Goodspeed. So please welcome Adam Souza, who was in the ensemble of Brigadoon and is now Goodspeed's resident music director.
Greg.
Oh my God, Anna.
How are you guys?
I'm so excited to see you.
It's so good to see you guys.
You look great.
Thank you. You too. You
You're an
too.
older man,
I
kind
am
of.
almost 40 years old. That's a real
You
number.
look fantastic,
Oh.
though, and I'm so happy that you're in the position that you're in.
Thank you.
God knows you deserve it.
Thank
God
you.
knows if he'll get to work one day. We've been like
We
meeting
will,
like
we
this
will, we will.
since
Well,
So
almost
Adam,
the day he arrived.
what is Adam doing with you?
He's
now?
our resident musical director now.
You're the new Michael Flaherty?
I'm the new Michael O'Flaherty.
Yeah.
Oh my
If
God,
that's
welcome.
possible. If that's
Yeah.
possible.
So Adam, do you remember the answer to this question?
I know that
Microphones
no
on this
ensemble
Brigadoon?
members wore microphones, certainly. I think maybe Amanda and Lisa had them
Okay.
on at points.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
That
So
makes
we were
sense.
back
I
in those
remember.
days. Just do that little bit of sweetening.
Yeah,
when we needed
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So,
Are
excellent.
you all
It's fun to
mic'd
hear-
now?
I'm
Oh
sorry?
yeah.
Now everybody's mic'd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was the beginning.
Everybody. Yeah. I mean, we
Wow.
still use that term, just sweetening it, just because
right?
voices are different nowadays and instrumentation is different nowadays. And so just so that we can lift and keep everybody sweetened and keep everybody healthy for Asia.
It's so
Yeah.
fun to hear that little orchestration with the bassoon and a French horn and the colors that Goodspeed
Yeah.
can access so infrequently, So it's fun to hear that little bubble
Beautiful.
orchestra. Yeah. So,
Orchestration by our Dan DeLange.
Did Bill work on this? Was Bill the?
Bill was the conductor after Michael left the pit.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
both did such a great job.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Adam. Can you stay
Thank you
with
for
us?
having me. Yeah, of course.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as I went back and looked at the archive, what really struck me that I think maybe I was just too up to my neck in it at the moment, but just how romantic this whole show is, that almost every character is just, except for the character of Jeff, Tommy's cynical sidekick friend, everybody's just so romantic.
Yeah.
And they just believe in this place and in this life and in the power of love.
So authentic.
It's so authentic. Just really, really struck me. And I think that this next song just really, there's so many songs in the show, but this next song really just underscores that so beautifully, pardon me. So this is once again, Daniel Reichardt performing the vocal section of Come to Me, Bend to Me.
Charlie, please go away.
'cause they told me I can't be holy till wedding music starts playing. To ease my longing, there's nothing wrong in me standing out here and saying, come to me, bend to me, kiss me good day, darling, my darling, 'tis all I can say. Just come to me, bend to me, kiss me good day. Give me your lips and don't take them away.
Darling, please go away.
Come daring near me so ye can hear me. I've got to whisper this softly, for though I'm burning to shout my yearning, the words come tiptoeing off me. Oh, come to me, bend to me, kiss me good day, darling, my darling, 'tis all I can say. Just come to me, bend to me, kiss me good day. Give me your lips and don't take them away.
Wow.
Look,
I
And
mean,
know.
there's
that's-
a
That's as
beautiful
good as it gets.
4-minute long dance
I
that
mean-
Peggy choreographed after that. The female perspective, Jean's perspective with her handmaids.
It was
Just absolutely
stunning.
stunning.
I'll never forget getting to, it was one of my very first professional show was with you, Greg, right before this with George M, and
Right.
and working with you guys and with Peggy and Randy and learning from Peggy. I remember we started our first rehearsal and she said, okay, I'm going to be giving you inch by inch adjustments. And when I say move an inch, I mean 1 inch, and the traffic patterns. And I remember just you putting together these complex, beautiful ballets within an inch of their
Their
life.
lives, and adding live steel was the
Yes.
Yeah.
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 putting 2 swords in the men's hands was
We're
amazing.
going to get to it. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're going to watch that a
You
little
know,
bit.
Daniel needs to be commended because he's a beautiful tenor. And I've done opera, Peggy. You know opera, Adam. No one would agree to take those climbs. And certainly no one would agree to do the jump before the big note.
Mm-hmm.
And no one would agree to slip down at the very end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was like really game, and it's so fresh.
Yeah.
He's so gifted, but it's such a fresh take.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's
you
fearless
guys
performer.
nailed the romanticism of the piece. I mean, I think that number just displays that beautifully.
So yeah, I remember having Gene roll in his tartan.
Mhm.
You know, and I haven't seen it in 20 years, but I have a memory
Mhm.
of that was the first thing of his that he's given her that
Mhm.
feels like him.
Yeah.
And she's imagining her wedding night. So I just remember how romantic. The whole thing was just delicious.
Mhm.
Well, and you all did such a good job of rooting it in a reality too. It doesn't feel like not connected. It doesn't feel like highfalutin. It just feels so real and so deep that it's the natural expression of
Yeah,
what it
that's
should
always important, and very important to Peggy, I think, too, that it has some humanity. And this show, I mean, this story does.
Yeah.
You know, it's spiritual. It talks about romance in a way that, you know, is heart rendering.
It's Sure does. And our next song, Good Transition, is a perfect example of that. It's definitely one of the runaway hits from the show that everyone knows, but Tommy has spent some time with Fiona and has definitely fallen for her. When his cynical friend Jeff, played by David Rossmer, encounters him, Tommy shares his newfound feelings in this little number.
Maybe the sun gave me the power, for I could swim Loch Lomond and be home in half an hour. Maybe the air gave me the drive, for I'm all aglow and alive. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. When we walked up the brae, not a word did we say. It was
Almost like being in love. But your heart thinks in mine, made the world kind of fine.
It was almost like being in love.
All the music of life seems to me
Like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal,
I could swear I was falling.
I could swear I was falling. It's almost like being in
Ugh.
So when I watched it and they both hit that big love at the end, I literally was like, oh, I love this.
I remember one of the reviews mentioned that
phenomenal.
it was a very handsome cast. Do you remember that, Donald Lynn? Kind of out of the blue. But they all had like a look about them that was strong and,
Mhm.
sculpted.
Yeah, they did.
She was on a mic, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
Sounds
that's
amazing.
Sound.
yeah.
Yeah, and I just worked with James Clow again. I did the Music
Did you?
Man with
Did.
him.
I bet he was great.
Yeah, except I had to make him dance. You'll notice he doesn't dance in Brigadoon.
Right.
That was harsh.
You made him. You made
He
him.
had to dance.
Boxing.
So we move on to the evening of this day, and the wedding of Charlie and Jean takes place. It is absolutely stunning. Just the sensitivity. I don't know if you guys remember. I don't have it in B-roll, but I saw it on the archive. And honestly, anyone listening, you should make an appointment to come to the Goodspeed library and watch the entire, because it is so beautiful. But so it's just a beautiful, sensual, youthful, just absolutely stunning wedding. And then Peggy did her sword dance. Peggy choreographed the most magnificent sword dance. So let's take a look at it, and then you'll tell us about building it, Peggy, okay?
Hey!
Gorgeous.
Wow.
It's
Magnificent.
so beautiful. It's so beautiful, Peggy.
Thank you. You know, I
It's
still
so
teach
striking.
that dance. I still teach that dance at UCLA.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not the whole thing, but I realized looking at it, oh, yeah, that's where I got that. I'm still doing that. I teach kids about
I think you all did
dancing.
such a phenomenal job, particularly in the choreography, of establishing this culture and this community of Brigadoon, and it all kind of culminated. Even prior to this, there's such a feeling of community in your vocabulary and in the way everyone's relating on stage. And then you get to this and this like ritual, this beloved ritual. How much research did you do to get to that? And like, tell us a little bit about how you arrived that language and that choreography.
I studied Highland country dancing, a lot of Celtic folk, early dance forms. I went and studied with a group. I was living here in LA at the time. I just remember going to some museum that had grounds, and there was a Scottish dance troupe that practiced, and like a social club. And I spent weeks and weeks going to their meetings and just writing down there's a Scottish country dance. There's that kind of Highland dancing, the footwork. That's mostly teenage girls now, because it's so difficult to be up on your toes dancing like that. It's very hard on your shins and your calves. And for older dancers, and by older, I mean, like 25, it can cause like extreme shin splits. So we rehearse very carefully. And, it's why that sport now is young teenage girls. So but it is traditionally men with swords doing it, but they don't do it forever because it's so physically difficult.
Yeah. I should acknowledge those dancers who were Patrick Mullaney, who played the role of Harry Beaton,
right.
and Kevin Lorek, Greg Roderick, James Santos, James Tabik, and Dale Hensley steps in there.
Oh,
For a
no, he
while,
does.
too. I think
He
I got
always
him right.
does. What a job he does.
Yeah, he does.
Adam, why were you not in that part?
I was beating on the floor downstage.
You are hitting the
I
floor.
see. I got it.
That's right.
That's something I
And
really-
the goal is to not hit the rock, because when they were holding arms to do those critiques,
Yeah.
I remember we had to, and I do that in Anastasia. I reuse things that we all do that work really well.
Sure.
And that cross arm manly is also a Russian move as well. So we always have to move downstage so as not to kill other people or kick
Yeah.
the rock.
But it doesn't. It really fills the stage. It doesn't look dangerous in that way.
Yeah.
That's the inch by inch.
No.
The Peggy inch by inch.
And
That's
I'll never forget watching you guys stage the show too, because there were a lot of moments where it was like, moments that are coming up later in the show, the funeral and the wedding were very sort of, I don't know, find a place, and we sort of found where people went rather than sort of formally spacing and staging.
Yeah, we reacted. I remember showing you the funeral the first time. The cast, we did not. Greg
We
and
didn't stage
Smith,
it. Yeah.
but we didn't show it to you. We just had you react. We had the dead body and the father. And the first time we showed it to the cast, they responded.
Yeah.
Totally.
And right down to carrying the body out, we did that all improvised, and that just sort of ended up being what was in the show. Was that
From
moment.
down the street.
We're going to get there. You guys keep jumping ahead of us. Keep jumping ahead of me. Okay, so I will say to our audience, if you don't know Brigadoon, and going back to review the archive reminded me of this, the second act is kind of unrelenting in I won't say darkness, because it ultimately pays off much better than that. It's just kind of unrelenting in the humanity of it. A lot of things have been set up and they come rolling at you. Really, the only lift in the second act is Meg's number, which we don't have B-roll of. So it as the end of this mystical day in the Scottish Highlands comes to an end, Tommy and Fiona begin to grapple with the truth that he probably cannot stay with her forever.
And they're so involved, and they're involved just that night. I remember. I mean, right, Adam?
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah.
I didn't see it that much, but every night it was different, and we tried to set that up, I think. So it had a freshness to it. And Jim just goes to town there. Music man, he goes to town. I mean, he's just giving of himself. And if one person does it in a show, everyone has to, I think. And I think everybody caught on that was the way we were going to go. Right? Yeah. And it turned into a real community that way.
It did. It did.
Yeah, there was a rule. You had a rule that everything had to be honest, and you had some little bells and whistles.
I did.
You
It was a thing
know.
that went up. I got it at Spencer Gifts in the mall. And it went doot, 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 and it would go ding if somebody had done something real queer and corny. But you could hear it ticking. Like I'd press it and it would go dot, dot, dot. So they kind of knew to stop. Natalie Hill got caught quite a bit.
Natalie Hill. Oh,
I love that. That's amazing.
Oh, I wish I could find it. Go to Amazon. I bet they'll have it.
You know, nowadays.
All right, we're running out of time.
Thanks for remembering it.
You all were so excited in talking about the funeral dance, and so we're going to show it to you all now. Spoiler alert: there is a death in the show. If you don't know,
Sorry.
Sucks. Sorry, but this funeral dance is well worth that spoil.
And this is Elizabeth.
Farrell from
Elizabeth Farrell. Elizabeth
Yeah.
Farrell.
She's done it for me 3 times before, and she's such an interesting person because she loved doing the role. If you remember, she just loved being the person. She's a beautiful technician and a beautiful dancer, but more than that, she loved being a member of Brigadoon.
She was an ABT dancer, wasn't she?
Yeah, beautiful feet, incredible dancer. And because she had done the show 3 times, there was a definite, and I stand on the shoulders of Agnes DeMille, but I'm not Agnes DeMille. So she was coming from her ABT training and her 3 original choreo times she'd done it with the original DeMille. Mm-hmm. So finding our way together so she could tell the story from a genuinely, individual place.
Yeah, and I think she did. I mean,
totally did. And she had a baby with her. She had just had a baby. So she was incredibly, her emotions were all on the surface. And she was dealing for the first time with a babysitter and working. It was the first time she'd worked since she had a baby. So she was in a place that was so beautiful because once we decided, and we're still friends, we talk to each other all the time. Once we became, we connected, she trusted the process. And opened her.
Let's look at the end product. Absolutely beautiful. Thanks.
Ugh.
Peggy, I remember all the details, and I'm only saying this because I'm old, but I got to wheel Agnes DeMille into the New York University studio, and she loved Elizabeth, and she loved Diana Gonzalez, and I remember Agnes watching Elizabeth with such love, but I'm telling you, Agnes would have been so delighted to see that something else was put upon it. I can remember the details. I can remember the dirt. I can remember the circle instead of a square. And it really kind of transcends today.
Mm.
You know, she'd be real happy with you.
Oh, well, I've read every book she's ever written, and her intelligence, and we stand on the shoulders of giants, and
That's
the
right.
Goodspeed is such an important institution that helps. It gave me the place to learn these things, to experiment, and to take it forward. To take the gifts and all the learning that I did in that tiny, perfect space, and fly. So I'm so grateful.
Fly. And it
Fly.
has Martha Graham in there, and they had a relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud because Elizabeth just loved being in the theater, period. And she loved
She did.
Yeah, and she was very, very. You guys had a great relationship. I'm glad that you still talk to her.
Real friends. She teaches for ABT. Her daughters are amazing. Her daughter's with a Pennsylvania Ballet, I believe.
Wow.
Beautiful.
And dancing
Nice
a lot of the
husband.
tracks that she danced. The same
Wow.
tracks. It's crazy.
That's
Beautiful.
amazing. Well, like the day in Brigadoon, this day's going to have to come to an end. So I'm going to press us along now. So yeah,
So beautiful. I still hope
Yeah.
that show revives someday. I really
yes,
think I know it's tried. They kept trying.
Yeah, they keep trying.
yeah, it will.
But
It will.
yeah, so beautiful.
Guys, thank you so much for revisiting this with us.
Thank you. I mean, it was such a treat to see it.
Yeah.
Well, and
Remember it.
thank you for your beautiful work that I even all these years on, it's still, I think it's still resonant and really it transcends well on tape. But I think that just speaks to the truth that was on stage. So really also a congratulations. And
Thank you.
So much. Thank you.
Well,
It's good
we
to see
are so supported by all the incredible technicians, all of the crew, the props, the costumes, everything that was put there to support us is so first class. I mean, I just can't say enough about being given the tools, the proper tools and the proper
That's right.
people. It makes our work joyful and easy.
Thank you. And revisiting these shows gives us the strength to get through the next day. So, because I just know we're going to be back at it. It's going to be as strong as ever because work that beautiful cannot fade away. It's going
That's
to
right.
continue. Right,
Right.
Adam and Michael Flynn?
Yeah. Yes.
That's
yes.
right. All right.
Correct.
Greg and Peggy and Adam, thank you so much for joining us. To our audience, thank you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Greatspeed, and join us on Tuesday, September 1st, to look back at another great Goodspeed production.
And some very exciting news here at Goodspeed. We are back, kind of. We're doing some concerts on the lawn outside the Opera House in a new series that we're calling Goodspeed by the River. Our first set of concerts is with a group called the Playbillies, who do bluegrass covers of musical theater hits. And super fun, from New York. You'll recognize some of them from various things. And tickets are going really fast. So go to goodspeed.org to check out and get some more information. And you can call the box office at this number below and secure your socially distanced pod today.
Stay safe, stay well. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.